Okay. This month is February. It is the end of the month. This month, February of 2025, we read What the River Knows by Isabelle Ibañez. I got her name right. So, for any new listeners, or if you're jumping around episodes, we're doing a Read Around the World challenge right now. So, this book is set in Egypt. But her name's not Isabel. What is her name? Inez. The main character is from Buenos Aires. Is that how you say it?
In Argentina.
Yeah. And then she travels to Egypt. So, to start everything off, what did you guys think about that kind of blend of the cultures? With Inez and her uncle being Hispanic and then them being in Egypt. But also, I guess Wit is also from England. So there's a whole blend of cultures.
And eventually there's like Americans and there's like a whole bunch of people in Egypt.
So how did that kind of impact the story for you guys? It was one of the first things that I noticed, and I just found it interesting.
Well, how did it impact the story for you?
Well, one thing I kept making Christopher say all the Spanish words while I was reading because I was like, I don't know what this is, because I was reading the book instead of listening to the audiobook. So I just thought it was interesting that she was jumping back and forth between, she was kind of doing like Spanglish type of talking.
Yeah.
And she would have specific conversations with her uncle in Spanish. And now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of want to go back and see what those conversations were and if it was important for them to have it in Spanish versus English for everybody else to be able to understand and hear them.
Have you never taken a Spanish class?
I have. Did I pass it?
Oh.
No.
Fail. I only took Spanish like my freshman year, but I had like enough recall to like, I don't think it was anything super exciting. I don't think it was whole conversations. It was just little
they would have
phrases.
they would have conversations and it would be like, she would say like, now we're talking in Spanish. Well, not like deliberately like that, but she'd be like, he said this in Spanish.
Okay, so like I was watching I was watching Emily in Paris. And at the end of, or toward the end of the second or whatever season, the last season that was aired, her and her boyfriend get in a fight and they break up because he is like, she's telling him that he doesn't express himself enough to her. And so then he decides to like go off on her in French, and basically, and like all the subtitles like tell you what he's saying. But basically he's like, how am I supposed to express myself like when I can't even speak like my native language? Mm-hmm. And so like he's always having to interpret things into English, and sometimes there's just no interpretation that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And so I would imagine it's similar, like when that is your native language, and then obviously it's just natural to slip into it, but also like especially talking to her uncle, like she's not going to feel like she needs to I don't know,
like stay in English,
right? Mm-hmm. Like, so I would just say that like probably as far as English versus Spanish, it's just like that's their native language, that's how they know how to communicate, and it's just family. And so she doesn't have to slip into English because she already knows that he understands what she's saying, sort of thing, I guess, if that makes sense.
Well, and I didn't notice anything that was like full conversations. I think sometimes she would say like, pardon me, or like she would just say like little phrases. And I feel like most of the time it was if she was like, it's kind of like a dire situation, like more emotionally driven. So kind of like what Kelly was saying, like it's more natural to like express herself. Like she's kind of reverts back to what she's comfortable with because of the situation, maybe.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was funny when she first meets Wit. I think when he like hunts her down and finally like catches her after she tries to run away. she says, like, she curses, and then he's like, doesn't that mean Wednesday? And she's like, yeah, well, my aunt doesn't like it when I curse, so that is what I say when I'm trying to swear. I just say Wednesday.
Good.
I thought that was funny.
Because it was like close sounding
Right.
to the actual swear word.
I think she was trying to say, like, shit or something, like, but apparently, I don't know. I don't even remember. But that was funny. Anyways.
Yeah, I think I just noticed, or not noticed it, but like realized it because they go back to Cairo after they find Cleopatra, and she realizes that when they were on the island, her and her uncle didn't speak in Spanish to each other, but now that they were back in Cairo, they were going back to speaking in Spanish more. Like she notes that. So I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Huh.
Speaking of Inez, so when I was looking at questions, a lot of the questions that were popping up were like, she's a strong, independent woman and like empowering. And I did find her like semi-empowering, but there were times where I was like, she's just putting herself into danger. So I didn't know if you guys also felt like if she was more of a damsel or actually independent.
I think she wants to be a strong, independent woman. But I don't think she has the life experience to actually be there. Because like you said, like she does, she does these things, but then she just ends up causing more issues. And like when she ran away from Wit the first time, it's like, okay, you're just in a carriage. Like, he's like, I guess I'm running down the street after you. Like, it wasn't that hard for him to catch up with her. And it's like, okay, do we think that like through all the way? And then when she sneaks onto the boat, like, great, you got onto the boat and that's awesome. But then she falls off the boat.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have no experience on the boat, but you're trying to like keep up this appearance that you're like you're a great deckhand and stuff, So now you're in the Nile with crocodiles. Like, good job. Proud of you. And then when her cousin gets abducted, she's like, nope, I'm going to handle this situation. Great. Now you and Wit are held captive in a tomb. So good job.
I mean, that
and
kind of worked out for her, so.
But no, I mean, not really. Her cousin ended up getting killed. Like,
that's true, but the tomb part worked out for her.
7 minutes in heaven.
Just saying. That's what she was trying to get at when they were in the tent at the dig site. Like, it worked out for her.
But I think she wants to be. She wants to be this strong, independent woman who can just get on a boat from Argentina and go to Egypt. And somehow, like, she knew nothing about her parents' lives, but she was going to go to Egypt and she was going to figure out what happened to them. I'm like, that just doesn't even sound plausible. Like, you've never been to Egypt, but you're going to be able to figure out where your parents lived their life and what happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and it was just lucky that her uncle was even at the hotel when she first got there.
Yeah.
Like, she had no plans besides.
I mean, even like her ride on the train or whatever it was to Cairo, even there, it's like, you're an idiot. You're talking to this random guy. He just robbed you. And he happens to be like the worst person that you would actually want to rob you. Like, oh my. I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, I said what I think.
I just hope that she gets better because, like, she doesn't listen to people. She takes it as them, like, restricting her rather than trying to protect her. And so then she just runs off and goes.
Even when she went off with that other girl who was like, yeah, I'm going to teach you how to shoot. And then they get on the bank and the girl's like, yeah, you're too trusting. And she's like pointing a gun at her. Yeah. And she's like, okay, here's the gun. Now I'll teach you how to shoot. It's like, this girl literally knows nothing. And then she's talking about her cousin and like how she feels bad because now her cousin doesn't see the hope in the world, and like she's gonna view the world differently now. And I'm like, girlfriend, you didn't even know about the world when you showed like. I don't
I
know.
wonder if her cousin, just like the fact that her cousin follows her around, she constantly has to save her cousin, made her feel like she was in a better situation to be able to handle
Maybe
herself.
like she was always the leader, so she thought she was like ready for this.
And then when her cousin shows up, she's like, well, now I have to do this. Instead of asking for Wit and her uncle's help, she's like, well, I always have to save my cousin, so I'll go save my cousin.
Maybe. I didn't realize I had so many feelings about that.
I know, right? I feel like the more you're talking about it, the angrier I'm getting. Actually, like, I'm like, this girl, I'm with Jill. I wouldn't consider her independent or strong. I wouldn't consider her any of those things. I would consider her reckless and like she thought that because she learned about Egypt from like what her parents told her, and her dad had her reading these books and learning hieroglyphics and stuff, like she had this idea of what it would be like being there, but she had no clue. And then like with at the end when her cousin's abducted, like you don't know who you're dealing with sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you think you can trust your mom, but your mom already double crossed you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what even makes you think that you can trust her. People are telling you not to trust her. And you're like, these people who've spent way more time with them than you have are
Right.
like, don't. So,
And like whoever her mom was in Argentina is not who her mom is in Egypt at all.
I mean, obviously, because she met that woman. So, yeah. I don't know. I think she's reckless. I don't think she's independent. I think she's just a ding dong.
I felt like, okay, just like the story in general and then the way it ended, I felt like a lot of the things that went wrong were just kind of like silly things, like her, like Wit having to chase her through the various different times. He had to chase her like 2 times, I think. They were just like fun little hijinks where nothing really happened. Like no, there wasn't really any danger.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, all of a sudden, it took a right turn, and it was like, okay, now we're actually in danger. Because even when she was afraid of her uncle, like she wasn't in real danger because he wasn't actually the bad guy,
right?
And then at the
end,
it
was like this hypothetical danger because of what she'd been led to believe.
Reading,
she didn't actually experience him being a dangerous person,
except for like occasionally she would see some like anger from him.
Yeah.
Like even like when they were in the tomb, I think when she admitted to helping her mom steal stuff, he like walked away and they were like, it never lasts long.
I would even say though that is him like regulating himself, right? Like he knew he was gonna be out of control if he stayed there, so he walked away. Like
right, but like that's like the most of the anger that she like saw from him. But I think she would like read into that and she'd be like, oh yeah, he's angry now. Like this is when, you know, he would attack my mom. Like this is when he becomes a dangerous man. Like I think she saw something she wanted to based off of her trust in her mom. But no, nobody here thinks she was a strong woman. In fact, okay. I think an element of being a strong woman is being able to like admit that you're in over your head.
Yeah.
And being okay with like, okay, this is a situation where I need a little help. I need to kind of like take a back seat.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the fact that she couldn't do that shows that she's not a strong woman.
Okay, speaking of her mom and her trust in her mom, did you guys suspect her mom at all?
100%. I even went on the Fable app and I was a little bit disappointed at how much conversation there was on the Fable app, but
Right.
I specifically was like, it's her mom. I know Miranda left a comment too about like, how can she not see that her mom is selling all of this stuff? And I was like,
Yeah.
for real, it's like her uncle is being so meticulous about writing every single thing down, which I know she brought up to her mom, and her mom had like an excuse for it. But I'm like, there's so many people down there. They're being very meticulous. Like, for something to disappear, or like for a bunch of things to disappear. I mean, I guess they didn't notice that she was making things disappear. But no, I was like 100% it's the mom.
Like the moment her mom showed up in her room, I was like, oh.
I didn't suspect it then, but I mean, there's not a whole lot between that moment and you learning that her mom is the bad guy. I mean, I think it's like 2 or 3 chapters.
Mm-hmm.
So, but her mom was just like, yeah, look for this one specific paper if you can. Also, just get me as many things as you can.
For a minute, I did think that maybe the uncle was doing like his own like nefarious things. Like the mom and dad, or the mom and uncle were both bad and were rivals. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But that is not the case.
I can't really blame her though, because like she said, like her uncle wouldn't tell her anything.
Mm-hmm.
So she only had the, nobody wants to believe that their mom's not trustworthy, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like natural to want to believe your mom. And so I think the fact that the only information she was getting was from her mom. I mean, and her uncle was like refusing to talk to her about anything, kind of put her in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and her mom had like planted things along the way too, where she like made it look like the uncle was the bad guy. So that probably, I would imagine, added to it. But
right, because she felt like she couldn't talk to anybody about it because she didn't know who was in on it.
I was also questioning, like the dad, if he is actually good, like if he's on the uncle's side, or if he is also doing things, or like just the whole ring thing was confusing to me. Like why he sent that to Inez, I guess just to keep
because
away from her mom.
He thought that the uncle was with his wife because, like, on her side, because he was like defending her, and trying to get him to forgive her affair or whatever. I think he explained it at the end. Like she rationalized it at the end that like after her uncle told her that why him and her dad were fighting, and then she's like, okay, well, so he probably sent me the ring because he didn't trust you. And he's like, yeah, probably. That's probably why he did that. So that's why he sent the ring, is because he didn't know who he could trust. So he just sent it across the ocean.
It's like, nobody gets this. That was it. I think her uncle says something though that is wild, that he just shoved it in a box and sent it on its way and hoped that it got to Inez.
Yeah.
Right, cross your fingers.
She never got the ring back, right?
No.
Well, they killed the guy, didn't they? No, Mr. Silver's still alive,
That was,
I think.
yeah, Sterling.
Yeah, Sterling Silver. I don't
like they were talking about it because they were talking about it and they were like, it's going to be impossible if he's wearing it to get it back. And I thought Whit said something about like he was going to be able to do it. And I thought there was going to be a scene where they like chopped his hand off or something. That's what I like anticipated. Right. Well, they were just going to like attack him and chop his hand off or something and run away with it. That's where I saw Whit going. He's like, I will get this back.
Well, he probably runs really fast.
At the beginning of the book, I would not have
thought that
even
it was
thought
going
that would
there.
happen, and then at the end of the book, that is something I would expect to happen.
See, I'm telling you.
The
But
first time Wit shot somebody, my jaw dropped because I was like, "This is this book really changed."
They're like beating her up, and
It was like this book just went from PG to PG-13.
I mean, I don't know what her writing process was, but it's almost like she started the book and then took a break and came back and was like, I have some new ideas. 1 year later.
She's like, things aren't really happening. We need to pick up the pace here.
We'll spice things up.
So did you guys trust Wit? Did you lose trust in Wit at any point? I think at the end, I don't think. Okay, at the end, he writes a note to his brother, right? And it says Inez bought it.
Yeah.
And I think I think she literally bought it. Like she bought the box. Not like she fell for my tricks. That's my guess.
She bought
Anyways.
what box?
She bought that box that helped her find
like the little trinket box.
Cleopatra.
Oh. You think it's referring all the way back to that?
I think she actually bought it.
You think the trinket box was like planted?
I think that they were looking for it.
Well, did her dad put it there, right?
Yeah, I think her dad had it.
But yeah, no, I don't think, because I was trying to make sense of that when I read it, and I'm like, that doesn't, because like Inez should have never even been there. And so why would he even be part of why would she even be part of some scheme that he had with his brother in England? Like, he didn't know this girl from chopped liver until, what, a month ago? Like, so I think it is not what it seems. But also, what about his fiancée in England?
He's never met the girl.
He's met her twice.
Oh.
He's met her twice.
I know, but that's the whole reason why he said he
break it off. And I think he's like gonna break it off.
Yeah, I think he's just drunk, and he was just like, I don't want to go back, and I don't want to be with this woman. And if I get married here in Egypt, then what are they going to do?
Well, and she has a fortune, apparently, if she gets married.
Yeah.
So then he wouldn't need his family's money at all. He could just have Inez's money.
And he's the man, so he would definitely be in charge of the money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yep.
I mean, this book,
right
you 100%. This is just part one of the book. Like, it's not really book one and book two. Like,
this is the kind of book Night Circus should have been, where it's like they split it up into sections. Yeah.
2.5 years later, and we're still talking.
You know, haters can never stop talking about what they hate. So
we didn't hate it. I recently listened to the episode. We did not hate the book. It was just
we have grown. We have grown to hate it over the years.
Our slight dislike has turned into a hatred.
Okay, but Wit and Inez together, what did you think about them as the book's couple?
Well, okay, this does not answer your question, but I didn't feel like I didn't feel like his description made me feel like he was infuriatingly handsome. Like, his description, like, sure, he's a good-looking guy. He's a British lord. That doesn't guarantee that you're good-looking.
Oh, wait, hold on. Actually, I mean, you can keep talking.
But, yeah, I mean, a good-looking guy does not equal infuriatingly handsome, so.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, what description would you consider infuriatingly handsome?
I don't know that there was a lot of descriptions of him. I mean, Miranda didn't even know he was blonde until some part later in the book. What is that?
Wait, blonde?
Didn't you say
That was a different book.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this is the second book. I bought the special edition, and then it has a picture of them on the inside. So
I don't know.
Jill's really examining this picture.
I'm like, well, okay, so I'm looking at her, and I'm like, okay, she looks like she has some Hispanic descent. Somebody probably could have done a better picture drawing of her. He doesn't look different enough from her for me to feel like he's British. Also, he's not that much taller than her, so either she's really tall or he is a short man. And I feel like Hispanic women are known for being shorter. So why do I have so many opinions about this?
I don't know, but there you go. That's the author-approved art of what they look
Jill's
like.
got opinions.
Okay. I don't know. I feel like the guy who plays, is it Reacher? Like, is that the show?
Jack Reacher?
Yes.
Like, he's super buff looking?
Yes, and he's like 1,000,000 feet tall. Like, you gotta have all the good qualities to be, like, infuriatingly handsome. And, like, he's just such a sweet guy on top of all the good looking qualities. Like, that's what makes you infuriatingly handsome. You gotta have the personality with the looks. And all the looks. That picture was
Maybe she misspoke. Maybe he's supposed to be infuriating and handsome. Maybe
that's infuriatingly.
Yeah, I mean, it's on the back of the
that's
book.
Why I'm saying. That's why I'm saying maybe she misspoke.
It's the wrong word.
Maybe she got it wrong.
That's what an infuriatingly handsome man looks like.
He looks like he's 40 years old.
Probably. I think this is my Jamie. What's Jamie's real name?
Sam Heughan.
There you go. This is my version of Sam Heughan.
I don't know who that is.
The guy who plays Jamie in Outlander.
Outlander. Outlands. I just know Jamie is from Outlander, but I don't know who these actors are.
Well,
I don't know who you just showed me.
It's the guy that plays Jack Reacher.
Unknown.
Have you seen that movie on Netflix? What is it called? It's the one where he gets her husband's old phone number.
That's the love of Kelly's life.
It looks like the living version of Billy.
Billy?
From Focus Focus?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Insert photo of Billy when we make these in videos.
He looks like Megamind because of the way you're tilting it makes him look like Megamind.
Give him a giant. With the coat. The coat really helps it. Oh man, people on the podcast are gonna have to watch the YouTube video.
So Kelly's into a guy who looks like Billy the Zombie and Megamind. Are you holding it like that on purpose?
If I do it like this, you can't see. I thought the reflection wouldn't work. Anyways, back to the book.
What do you think is going to happen in the next book?
No, you asked what we thought about their relationship.
Oh, I moved on because we stopped talking. Anyways, what do you think about the relationship? Tell me all your thoughts, Jill.
I mean, I think it was expected. I don't think it was anything shocking. I mean, it basically said on the back of the book that they were going to get together, so I don't know.
It was classic enemies to lovers.
Yeah. Where, like, they're not allowed to be together, but they want to be together anyways.
Classic.
Classic. Close proximity.
She hates him at first.
I don't think she really ever hated him, but...
Well, I think she strongly disliked him because he kept trying to send her back.
Yeah, I think she... yeah, I don't know. I think it was more of like
annoyed by him.
Yeah, it was like a toying with him. Like, she was like, I'm not leaving. Like, why do we keep going through with this? So I did... Okay, this doesn't relate to them being together. I did feel bad for the old lady who thought that she was getting a trip to Argentina or to South America, and she was going to get to see her friend and like all this stuff. And then she tricked her and was like, "No, we're leaving tomorrow." And like, I just feel
she missed her boat.
Yeah, she missed her boat. She's not going to go see her friend. Like, I mean, I know it's like a last minute thing, so it's not like she's been planning this for like ever. But I'm still like, oh, it's a little sad, little old lady.
Okay, going back to her cousin's death, that her cousin showing up and dying felt like someone needed to die, but the author didn't want to give up her main characters. So she brought the cousin over to die.
Here you are.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's like character development for Inez. Like maybe in the second book, she's going to have developed some sort of self-preservation. I don't know, because of that. Like maybe she'll be wiser.
That she realized that she's like messing with some like actual serious stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Was there a prophecy that I missed?
What do you mean?
When I was looking at questions, some of them were like something about the prophecy and like the true nature of the curse. And I was like, did I miss something?
I have no idea.
Okay, well then maybe it's the second book.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the only thing that came close to like a prophecy would be when she has those visions of like from Cleopatra from touching the ring.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I could.
Well,
but
and I assume in the next book, Inez is connected to Cleopatra in more than just the fact that she
touched the magical ring.
I don't remember any prophecy.
No, me neither.
Have you guys heard of Divine Rivals?
Yeah, I have it.
Did you read that one yet?
No, not yet. I mean, this is the second one. Where'd the other one go?
Okay. Well, for anybody who hasn't heard of Divine Rivals,
I'd have to prove you that I have heard of it.
Divine Rivals is kind of like the same idea where it's our world, but there's magical elements. So that one's set in World War II. And there's like these gods that are fighting. And they have magical typewriters. And they can like, it's two journalists who are like writing to each other and they fall in love. So it's like, it's got the same kind of world building idea. But I always think this is fun. That Isabelle Ibañez, What the River Knows, is dedicated to that author, Divine Rivals.
Oh,
and Divine Rivals is dedicated back
Rebecca
to
Ross.
Yeah. So this one says,
so cute.
It says, for Rebecca Ross, who fell in love with Egypt as I wrote the first draft, who cheered me on even as I reached dead ends, and who swooned when wit first walked across the page.
This one says for Isabelle Ibañez, who read this book as I wrote it, who convinced me to add Roman's POV, and who occasionally lets me get away with things. P.S. I'm talking about chapter 34. That's interesting.
But I think that's cute. And also, I forgot about timelines, so I don't remember if these are happening around the same time. I don't think
so. Because that's like the late 1800s, I think, in the What the River Knows.
Yeah. But
So
part
if
of me was like, I wonder, even though it's two different authors, they're friends and they're like writing similar stories, I
stories,
wonder if they could end up being like in the same universe.
Like
maybe.
crossover.
Yeah.
Because if this
That
is
could be
World War
fun.
II, then that would be like in the 1945.
Yeah. Which doesn't match my, because at first I was like, what if Wit was in the war? But that's not the same timeline.
He'd
So
be real old.
Maybe he's also a vampire.
He's like a 70-year-old man fighting in World War II. It's fine. It's fine.
anyways, I just think that's fun.
I'm rewatching the Vampire Diaries, so I think maybe he's just a 200-year-old vampire.
He's a vampire. Also the other thing about this book, they sell or what is it? They say that it's like the Mummy. Yeah, Mummy meets Death on the Nile. So that made me feel like it was gonna be more like
I
booby
didn't see
traps
anything
running
about
through
the Mummy.
tombs. Yeah, there was like, it's just the fact that it took place in
Okay, so
Egypt.
Well, the Mummy does have like an
there's a
element.
spider on my wall.
Kelly is burning down her house now.
That was a lot in one little clip. I'm just gonna say the Mummy does have the element of like traveling to the tomb.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe just that aspect of like, they
Maybe
have like
the action is in book 2.
No,
maybe.
okay, so I can see the Mummy, but mostly because like Inez is kind of like the studious library girl,
Mm-hmm.
and then Wit is kind of like this rake, where he's like, you know what I mean? So, so I think that maybe the parallels are like with the two main
with
characters
Inez and
more,
Wit.
yeah, more than like the story.
But I went into it expecting more like adventure rather than just a lot of sitting around camps and painting and sitting around hotels.
Yeah, she's basically giving Wit the cold shoulder for like half the book because she's like, we can't be together, but I want you, but we can't be together.
So now I'm on the hunt for a action-packed Egyptian romance.
The actual Mummy. You just want the Mummy. Why just watch the movie, Miranda? Just watch the movie.
Oh, I don't like watching movies. I like books. I started an audiobook called Empire of Shadows because it supposedly is supposed to be that. But we'll see. I ran out of listening hours on Spotify, so I can't listen to it right now. I can't listen to it until March.
Lame.
What would you guys rate this book?
I was gonna base my rating off of you guys because I listened to it in 2 days, and so I feel like I probably wasn't really able to like truly enjoy it.
Rewind. The audio narrator, I did start with audio and then had to switch to the book because the narrator for the audiobook, I could not take her seriously.
Well, okay, so her voice, like she was trying to do a Spanish accent.
Yeah.
Because when she like, and also I realized that like her accent for Wit was not a very good British accent. Like she couldn't go from Spanish to British, English, whatever. She couldn't do that. So I feel like he just inherited a Spanish accent. But then when the Americans show up at the end of the book, she like turned it off and she just spoke normal. And then like she went back to Spanish accents when she needed to.
So what you're saying is she learned her Spanish accent from Dora the Explorer, and that is why
I think her Spanish accent just wasn't very good, and that's why it like you couldn't listen to it. She wasn't. I wish they would have had like a native Spanish speaker with like a real Spanish accent do the audiobook.
I just couldn't There were times that she was just saying sentences that I was like, this sounds like if Dora was trying, like if Dora became an adult and was trying to seduce someone. Like that's what she sounded like to me, and I was like, I can't listen to this anymore. She's having a conversation with her uncle. She can't be talking like that.
Well, and just where she put like her inflections, she was like constantly asking a question. Like,
No. It made Inez sound extra ditzy.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it would have sounded better if it was a native Spanish speaker.
Yeah. Or even better, dual narration. That's what I think all books should be.
When it was Wit's point of view, like it was a man doing the audio.
It was not for me.
Really? I had a man.
I don't know what was going on.
Not like in the story when he was just talking, but like at the end of the chapter sometimes.
In this section.
It would switch to a man.
Oh. I don't remember that. Maybe I just never listened to those parts.
Maybe you didn't make it that far.
Maybe.
Anyways, what would you guys rate it?
I'm trying to remember what I gave it.
I'm telling you, we need these cards printed out or something.
I gave it a 3.5. I really liked it. One of our sister-in-laws who read both Divine Rivals and this one did not like it as much and liked Divine Rivals more. And I like this one more than Divine Rivals.
I talked to her today, though, and she said that the reason she disliked it so much was because she felt like he betrayed her at the end of the book. But like she hasn't read the second book yet, so she's just taking that like little blurb at the very end, and then.
And I don't feel like he betrayed her, but.
So at least that's what like I gathered when she was talking to me about it, was that like it was the end of the book that bugged her the most. So
I did. So I was listening to the audio and reading along because that's how you have to do it if you're trying to read it all in one day. And though I don't know if it was planned this way, but when you get to the end of the book, you're like, okay, so you're like reading.
Oh, that didn't help. It usually does. Oh, okay. Never mind. Just tell us.
And then it literally, like the one line, the last line is on its own page. Like, you're reading the story, and then all of a sudden you're like, bam, marry me instead. And it's just over. And you're like, what? So I don't know if that was planned, but that was kind of soul crushing.
I don't know that that's how this one.
Are you looking at the book?
Yeah.
Like you don't have any other words after that? Like none?
I mean, I have the epilogue after that.
Mine doesn't do that. Mine's just.
Maybe it's just like the setting, the size setting.
Yeah, I think it's just your phone.
I don't know, but that worked out like perfectly. And like the whole screen just says, marry me instead. That's it. And I was like, dang, like that's the end. So I don't know. That kind of worked out.
I would say 3.75. I would do like 3 3/4 because I don't feel like I could sit on a solid 4, but I think it was better than a 3.5.
Wait, what's a 3.5?
It's a solid read with some good parts, but it has its flaws. Still, you'll probably enjoy it. A 4 is a really good book that's fun and engaging. It's not flawless, but it's definitely worth your time. I gave it a 3.5 because I did really enjoy it. I'm going to read the second book, but it wasn't quite what I wanted it to be, and Inez I had issues with for a lot of the book.
Maybe I'd say 3.75. 5.
It was a lot better reading it. Like when I had my own voice for Inez's voice instead of Dora's voice, it was a lot better reading it. So,
Yeah.
personally,
Are we just going to settle on a 3.5?
sure.
Yep.
Okay.
3.5. 3.5?
3.5. Mm-hmm.
3.5.
We'll say it one more time. 3.5. Okay, Kelly.
Okay, so I had my head down this whole time because I was looking for what I picked, and now I don't know that I actually want to do that. And so my initial pick was the House Witch. Okay, so before I tell you what the House Witch is about, we could read The Dead Guy Next Door.
I love Lucy Score.
It's set
Where
in
is that?
Pennsylvania, so I mean it's America. So, but
That looks thick.
I think that this is the book I already had.
Lucy Score's books are always thick.
It's
I personally fly through her books.
it's 470 pages.
That is so long. Listen, when it goes over 350, I'm like, this is a long book. Even What the River Knows with 400 pages. Like,
The more I think about it, the less interested I am in this book, and I kind of just want to read The Dead Guy Next Door.
I love Lucy Score, so
yes,
sure.
Just start reading it now, Jill. Okay. Don't try to read it all in one day. Okay, let's not do that. Okay, so next
don't listen to it with your family.
I don't usually listen
is
to
it that kind of
family.
book, really? Okay, so don't listen to it out loud.
Yeah.
Okay, so should I tell you what it's about?
Yeah.
Since we're reading The Dead Guy Next Door by, who is it? Lucy Score. Okay. For Riley Thorne, it is divorced, broke, living with a pack of elderly roommates, and those hallucinations Riley diligently ignoring. Her mom is convinced Riley must be clairvoyant. Just when things seem like they can't get worse, so hot he should be illegal. Kind of like infuriating.
Listen, if you're coming in with those descriptions, you better come through with it. Okay? Don't be giving me no average looking guy.
He's so hot it should be illegal. Private investigator shows up on her doorstep looking for the guy next door who turns up murdered. Investigator Nick Santiago doesn't play well with others. He's a rebel, a black sheep, a man who prefers a buffet of options to be stuck with the same entree every night. If you catch his drift, he's a rake, guys. But when the pretty, possibly psychic Riley lands at the top of the suspect list for the murder, Nick immediately volunteers to find out who done it. Of course he does, right? He likes solving mysteries. It has nothing to do with wanting to flex his heroic muscles for Riley. Nick and Riley must join forces to find out who really pulled the trigger, all while keeping a by-the-book, grudge-holding detective at bay and dealing with the gorgeous stranger claiming he's arrived to help Riley hone her psychic gifts, all before the killer decides to turn his sights on Riley.
Should we? What spice level is Lucy's score usually?
I would say a 3.
3 out of what?
You'll find a good amount of romantic and sensual scenes, 2 or 3 open door scenes.
Okay. So it's not full on smut, it's just, kind of smut. It's rated R. It's not.
There are plots. I think she's really funny. I think she's really good at having like a decent plot and not just relying on the smut to make the book interesting to people. So,
okay. And if you want, I mean, we could just let you know where the smut is so that you could steer clear of it.
I mean, I think there's lots of websites like that.
Oh, probably. Like where it tells you the page and how long it goes or whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, this is what we're
I do
reading.
think
Everybody.
I do think it's important that you picked a book that you actually wanted to read, because I feel like with last year, you had to pick within a genre, so it wasn't always
Struggled.
it wasn't always something that you were like really excited to read. And then I feel like before that, you were trying to like branch out maybe a little bit more out of your comfort zone. And so you'd be like, hey, I heard stuff about this book, but it wasn't something that you would have just picked up like on your own. So
Yeah.
hopefully, like, I don't feel like you've ever picked up suggested a book for us that you have like entirely loved.
Yeah, or that I like, this was on my shelf already.
Right.
Like, I went and bought this because it sounded funny.
Right.
So, anyways, so I'm excited to read it.
That's good.
This will be our only U.S. set book.
It's in Pennsylvania. I mean, let's be honest, okay? Let's get real about this. The United States, granted, it's one country. It's one country. But how many different cultures?
There's so many cultures in the U.S.
You could say that about like England and Australia, and like there's so many different cultures in all these places.
That's maybe not as true, but maybe similarly true. But I stole the United States book. Sorry about that.
That's fine. I don't think either one of us was fighting you for it.
Okay, good. Good. Okay. Well, that was all I had.
That was it.
Yay! Love it.
All of our husbands will be happy. We didn't take 3 hours to record an episode.
Okay, so Jill just said love it, and I was totally convinced that she was going to say love you. Like,
I love all of our listeners. I love all of our listeners, and I'm so grateful for them.
That sounded so genuine.
I do. And I also think that they should shop our link, because we would love that too.
Where are our links?
You can find our link on TikTok, on Instagram. We have our website that like takes you to our Amazon store. It comes up in our email. If you're subscribed for our email, like, you can literally find our shopping link in so many places.
I forget all the time that we have a shopping link.
Yeah.
Apparently all of our listeners do too.
Yeah, but we would love it so much if you wanted to get this book and bought it through our shopping link, because that would support us, and you're spending the same amount of money. So, just gonna say that.
Okay. Good job. Okay, bye.
Bye. Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in to this episode. Don't forget to subscribe and then follow us on whatever social media platform you use the most. The link for next month's book is going to be down in the description below, so grab your copy and then make sure to share all your thoughts with us.